Oh, yeah.
Hello, and welcome everyone. It is a general question that comes to our mind when we see Rocket Raccoon. How clever is he? Or how smarter is he? Does he surpass Iron Man in terms of smartness? Let's find out the answer to these questions in this video.
Subject 89P13 calls itself Rocket.
But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon. With that out of the way, let's get started with the video. We might not have seen Rocket inventing something like time travel or nanoparticles, but we have seen him take advantage of the situation and come up with intelligent solutions. And let's not forget that he helped Tony and Bruce Banner in making the Quantum Realm machine, and also probably the newer version of Infinity Gauntlet that Hulk uses to bring back half of the universe. So where does Rocket, being a raccoon, gets such high intelligence? Well, he hails from a place deep within the Marvel universe known as Half-World. Half-World, for as strange as it sounds, was a once uninhabited world, and it became so after a group of technologically advanced humanoids found it and turned it into an outpost for mentally ill patients. If this sounds like it became an insane asylum, you'd be correct. Eventually, the humanoids ran out of money to fund their asylum and as such, were made to leave. But they did so with one last gift. That is, they created an army of robots that would stay behind and care for those who were staying behind on the Half-World. And they ensured that no one would get in or out. The humanoids placed a force field around the entirety of the planet. And this is where we get the twist. If the robots would have spent the rest of their existence in the service of the inhabitants of the planet, all would have been well. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. Wanting a better life for themselves, the robots left one side of the planet and made their way to the other side. By doing this, they purposely left the mentally ill behind under the watchful care of the animals that had been brought in for amusement. The humanoids began experimenting and looking for a way that the animals could become capable caregivers. This meant that they aimed to give the animals human-level intelligence. Rocket, of course, was one of these animals. Their work was so impressive that some of the animals, Rocket included, became more intelligent than they could have ever imagined. Due to this, it was actually Rocket who captained the ship carrying the humanoids and animals who wished to leave off the planet. In the MCU, we see that Rocket is given an alphanumeric designation which is subject 89P13. This makes it seem that he was more like an experiment or a weapon before becoming a bounty hunter and later joining the Guardians. Further, we have already seen in the movies that Rocket can really understand what Groot is saying. A little strange considering all he can say is, "I'm Groot." But Rocket genuinely gets the language his best friend speaks, without any context or hints. Part of this simply comes from how smart Rocket is. Because he's the product of illegal experiments, there's a lot of thinking on his toes in order to adapt to his surroundings. Being able to pick up another language as soon as possible is just one of the many things you can do to help you survive. Rocket is not one to let his size or appearance keep him from talking trash. Even though he is smaller than most other characters in the Marvel universe, he doesn't let that keep him from looking at anyone and basically thinking, "I could beat the dude in a fight." Two prime examples are how he handles the Punisher and Thanos in the comics. While Star-Lord is very much the leader of the current incarnation of the Guardians of the Galaxy, there have been times when he's not been around and others have had to step up. For example, when Star-Lord was sent into the negative zone by Ronan, the Guardians almost disbanded. It was Rocket who pulled the team back together and even added Groot to the team. And Rocket was the leader of the team until Star-Lord was rescued from the negative zone and the Earth was saved from an alien invasion. Despite how human Rocket may look, at the end of the day, Rocket is still your average raccoon that has most of the same traits and qualities that his species would have. Unlike humans, he still has strong senses that tend to lean more into his animalistic side. However, it's stated that these abilities may have actually been honed through the various experiments he was forced to endure when becoming more humanoid. Everything from the smell to sight can help him on his missions with the other Guardians, placing him at more of an advantage. In the end, we're pretty glad he was able to keep these qualities. One of the most impressive raccoon abilities Rocket was able to keep and hide was his agility. Whether you've only seen it on the big screen or you've actually read it in the comics, Rocket is incredibly capable when it comes to his physicality. No human or alien would be able to keep up with baby Groot without his abilities. And talking about his intelligence, it is beyond many of his fellow Guardians. This is mostly because his cerebral cortex was genetically augmented so that he could go above most of the other species in the galaxy. Seriously, this raccoon is smarter than you, and you know it. Rocket was designed to perform incredibly complex tasks, something that would certainly help in his position considering how many people he was originally tasked with caring for. Thankfully, this turned out to be a blessing in disguise because his wits have saved both himself and his friends on more than one occasion. It's no secret that Rocket is an incredible engineer, but we thought we'd remind you anyway. Because of his inventions, he's saved his friends plenty of times and helped them escape, not to mention dealing with some of the critical ship repairs that no one else seems able to do. What's incredible about this specific skill is that he can create a weapon out of almost anything. Iconic weapons like Peter's Hadron Enforcer may look really cool now, but it's really just a bunch of junk Rocket was able to put together with a little bit of shine, making it dangerous. With so many talents, it can be tricky not to forget a few. Rocket's piloting skills, however, are not to be missed on this list. Our favorite Raccoon has been an accomplished pilot on various spacecraft. It doesn't take him long to figure out not only how to fly a new vehicle, but also how to fly it well. This is why he's often put as a leader in a flight attack. With his kind of abilities, he's able to lead assaults from the sky with ease. Referring to the Battle of Xander, he was responsible for leading the entire flight. Now, here is the crazy thing about Rocket. He absolutely goes crazy over collecting prosthetic limbs. We can't exactly blame him, since they certainly look incredibly advanced and cool. But it's not fun for the other person. No one is really sure why he has this obsession, but it could have to do with his own unique cybernetic advancements. And stealing limbs is no joke. Due to tons of horrific experiences, he is incredibly mistrusting, which is also a sign of smartness. But he doesn't always have to rely on his intellect. Rocket is actually relatively strong and durable. Of course, with how many experiments he's been through and beatings he's taken since, it's hard not to see just how tough he is physically. How else do you think he's able to wield those giant guns around? Advanced strength certainly has a lot of abilities, but your average raccoon would never be able to hold some of the more human-sized weapons. It's not something we readily think about. But even if you've only watched the movies, you've probably seen Rocket exercise just how strong he really is. That is when he tackled Gamora in the first movie. And with that, we will bring this video to an end. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.